Welcome to the next unit in basic soil science. This unit is on soil formation and development. One might ask themselves, why do we look at a topic such as soil formation and development in a basic soil science course? Well, my answer to that initially would be that soil formation and development plays a very important role in the overall health and productivity of a soil. It's kind of the chicken and egg effect. We look at a soil and we determine how much development or formation has taken place based upon the physical and chemical processes involved in the development of that particular soil. The type of soil that we have in a given area within our region will be what I will call relatively stable. We need to understand that soils are forming constantly, but this rate of soil formation or development is a very slow, time-consuming process. The changes that take place when we bring a soil under cultivation and use for agricultural purposes, though, are quite dramatic. In a given climatic zone, the rate of soil formation and development will be relatively constant. But as we come into that and interject man and man's activities into that picture, we begin to see generally an acceleration in the rate of soil formation and development. Oftentimes we irrigate soils, we will cultivate these soils, we will produce more plant material in these soils than what would normally be found under native vegetation conditions. And all of these, both from a chemical and physical weathering process or standpoint, will accelerate this rate of soil formation and development. Now, if we're talking about a relatively young soil, development or formation of that soil is quite important in order for that soil to become productive. And by productive, I mean capable of supporting plant life. If, however, we're talking about a soil that is much more mature or has undergone much further development, extensive development, then continued soil formation and development can actually be a detrimental process. And by that I mean we can lose basic cations, we can see the pH creeping downward or getting into the undesirable range, and all of these things could cause that soil to become less productive with time. So we're going to be looking at soil formation and development due to the importance that this process plays on such things as soil fertility, soil productivity, and the inherent use we make of this particular soil in terms of whatever our cropping purpose or program might be. The keynote to soil formation is change. We need to understand that soils are constantly undergoing a changing process. This process, even though slow, has some various intricacies or steps. Part of this process is involved in disintegration. Now, disintegration is nothing more than a breaking down of the parent materials from which that soil is developing into smaller sized units or aggregates. In other words, if we start out with rock and mineral matter, that rock and mineral matter, which forms the bulk of this parent material, is undergoing wetting and drying, freezing and thawing. It's undergoing physical breakdown processes which reduces the size of the particles upon which the weathering is taking place. Now, this reduction in particle size is important because as we reduce the size of the particles in a given volume of soil or soil that's developing, we're going to increase the surface area. This increase in surface area is going to allow more chemical weathering to take place because chemical weathering will take place primarily on the surfaces of these mineral particles. So we start out with primary minerals or rocks which contain primary minerals predominantly. As this weathers and develops and undergoes both chemical and physical changes, we end up with primary minerals breaking into secondary minerals and then through further weathering and development on into the secondary clay minerals. So these products of disintegration and decomposition being the chemical weathering process, then are forming or developing the parent material from which the soil itself will develop. We haven't specifically defined parent material, but parent material is basically the partially weathered mass of rock mineral matter and as we get further along, organic material from which the soil is forming.